Well, hello everybody. This is Kim Stevens, and welcome to Undiluted TV. Here you'll get it raw and undiluted. This is my first show. This is a new YouTube channel for me, and I did this because um, for a lot of years now, I've wondered what I could do, what part I could play in bringing awareness, in bringing truth, and in bringing and supporting and talking about the issues that affect the black community. And I've tried to do. I've done podcast shows. I've done other things. In conjunction with on my Facebook page, and in conjunction with my media company, because I own my own media company. It's called Black Rain Media Group. I'm a publisher. I'm an independent publisher. I publish books, and I also have an independent magazine, and it's called BRPP Magazine. And I've done some things, but not as much as I wanted to do. And with things that were going on in my business and in my company, and with life issues altogether, I never got it together enough to know exactly what I wanted to do until I started watching YouTube. And from watching YouTube videos, I finally got around to being exposed to the new black media. And I got to listening to the likes of Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Vicky Dillard, the Black Authority, and others. I got to listening to them, and and I liked what they were saying. I liked the honesty that they were bringing. I liked the truth that they were bringing. I liked the power that they were bringing, and I liked the fact that they were determined that they weren't going to be swayed, and they're still determined that they're not going to be swayed. And just listening to them, and it really empowered me. It really uplifted me, and it really let me know that it was time. It was time for me to put in my 2 cents. It was time for me to say what I had to say. It was time for me to become involved. And that, coupled with some things that have been happening in the media in the last maybe month and a half, yeah, now is the time. Now is definitely the time. Now is the time for black people to wake up. Now is the time for black people to realize that it's not a game. It's not a game. It's not a joke. It's for real. After 400 plus years, almost 500 years of the injustice, of the slavery, of the bondage, of being held back and held down, being the lowest class of citizen in the United States of America, after the almost 500 years of white supremacy and racism, and economic lack, and just social injustice, injustice as far as the justice system is concerned. After all of this time, it's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to come together. It's time for us to get it together. Excuse me. It's time for us to realize that we can no longer play this game. We can no longer afford to play this game. We can no longer afford to be a part of the game, or a part of anybody else's agenda that wants to play the game. It's got to be all about the black agenda now. It's got to be all about the black agenda. It's got to be about what you are offering us, what you will do for us, and not just empty promises, not just words, but you got to back it up. You got to back it up. It's time for us to hold on to what we have. It's time for us to hold on to our votes. It's time for us to hold on to our support. It's time for us to hold on to that and hold all of that back until somebody really stands up and means what they say, as far as what they will do for the black community and the black society in America. Um, so that's the reason why that's the reason why it was time for me to do something. And I want to make a disclaimer here. Um, I am very pro-black. In saying that I am very pro-black, because I'm very proud of being a black woman in America. Um, in saying that I'm pro-black, that doesn't mean that I'm anti anything or anybody else. I'm just pro-black, which means what's best for black people, what's best for my people is what's going to come first for me. And all of this, we're going to do it for everybody, and it'll help you in the long run. Because that's been, that's been the political stance, that's been the social stance for years and years and years now. As far as politicians and the government is concerned and all of that, well, we'll do something for everybody, and it'll get around to the black people. It'll get around to helping the black people out. Or they'll give us something that doesn't amount to anything. It's basically almost like a joke, really. And instead of it elevating us, it actually holds us down even more. The welfare system was not designed for us. It was no good for us. The economic system is not designed to help us out. That's the reason why we don't have any of the real wealth in America. The education system was not designed for us. Our kids go to school and they learn things that don't really matter, that don't really pertain to being black. The criminal justice system has never really worked for us. It may work for one or two of us every once in a while, but it's never really worked for us on a regular basis. And we know that. We see that. And yes, we are going to have to come together, and we are going to have to build our own communities. We are going to have to support our own businesses, start our own businesses, employ our own people, educate our own kids. Yes, we're going to have to do that. And do I believe in reparations? Yes, I do. Everybody else has had them. Everybody else has been taken care of. Everybody else, anybody else that the United States of America felt like they harmed in any kind of way, they got some kind of reparations. And they didn't get it as a group thing where it was just widespread over several groups of people, and then it would come back to them. No, the Native Americans got theirs. The Asians got theirs. The Puerto Ricans got theirs. The Mexicans got theirs. These are all the people that have gotten reparations from the United States of America because the United States of America did them some kind of harm. Well, the United States of America has been doing black people some kind of harm for the last almost 500 years. We were kidnapped, brought over here, mistreated, in bondage, raped, killed, maimed, beat, lynched, burned, families separated, ripped from our culture, ripped from everything that we were used to, everything that we knew, subjected to atrocities that you would not believe. And not just in the space of 4 or 5 years or during a war or what. No. This was not wartime. And we are still being subjected to those same atrocities, just in a different way. It's a different dynamic. The packaging may be different. The way it's being done may be different, but it's the same thing. The lynchings are still going on. Now they're lynchings in social media. Now they're lynchings in the media. Now they're economic lynchings. Now they're modern day lynchings, but it's still lynching. It's still the same thing. The objective is still the same, to destroy the black people, especially the black man. And nothing has changed. It looks like it has changed, but it hasn't changed. Slavery is still going on. It's mental slavery, and then there's physical slavery. You have to get up and go to work every day to work on a job for somebody else to make a whole lot of money and have a whole lot of profit. You take home less than 1% of the profits of that big major company or major corporation that you work for. And you might get home, might not even be able to pay your bills. You might come home and your lights might be turned off. Or you might come home and they might be talking about, foreclosing on your house or putting you out or whatever. And it's not because you're not working, it's because it's not enough. But that's still slavery. The athletes are slaves. The entertainers are slaves. So, like I said, the dynamic may have changed, the packaging may have changed, but the bottom line still has not changed. So we're going to have to deal with these issues. We're going to have to deal with them. We're going to finally have to deal with them. We're going to finally have to deal with white supremacy and racism for what it is. Stop ignoring it. Stop trying to act like it doesn't exist. Stop trying to act like it went away at some time. None of that. And we're going to also, not only are we going to have to deal with white folk and white supremacy, we're going to have to deal with the black folk who are now and who have always been the face of white supremacy. There have always been black people who have been the face of white supremacy. There have always been black people who cared more about what they did for that group than what they did for their own. Always has been. That's not anything new. There's always been the coonery, and there's always been the willingness to sell out your own for the so-called superior race. And it's still going on today. It hasn't stopped. And there's a word that they have for it. I've got to look it back up. I've heard this word over and over and over again now since I've been listening to the new black media. But basically, the word means the rewards that slaves would get from their white slave masters for performing certain things. And black people were rewarded for basically three things. They were rewarded for entertaining the white folk, entertaining them, making them laugh, keeping them happy. They were rewarded for protecting the white folk and looking out for the white folk and looking out for Master and his family and everything that Master owned. They looked out for it and protected it. And they were rewarded for going against somebody else black. And that's still going on today. We see it every day. We see it every day. We see every day black folk that are willing to throw other black folk under the bus so that they can keep their position in white society, the position that they think they hold in white society. And a lot of them are like what they used to call the house niggas back in slavery. You understand what I'm saying? Because they are now in the big house, because they are now, rubbing shoulders and rubbing elbows with the master and all that. They have almost convinced themselves that they're white and that they have been accepted. Okay. And it's these black people that down through history have been the ones that the white folks would send out to keep us in line and to keep us in check. And to keep us going along with the agenda, and to keep us, acting like we're supposed to act. Like I said, keep us in line. And they've always had them. That's the reason why in slavery, most of the foremans, the quote unquote supervisors on most of the plantations were black men. Because once they saw that a black man was willing to beat another black man, whip another black man, excuse me, degrade another black man, bring another black man down, tell on another black man, turn against another black man, attack another black man for whatever reason, then he was given the position of being the foreman over the field slaves to keep them in line, to keep them working, to keep them producing, to keep them doing what they were supposed to be doing for the master. And the master would only come in and step in when, it was a big situation that needed to be taken care of. You know what I'm saying? Or when a statement needed to be made, or when there was a slave, especially a black a male slave that just wouldn't submit, or he just wouldn't cooperate, or he just wouldn't act right, and he had to be the example. He had to be the example to let the rest of the slaves know, okay, this is what will happen if you go against me. If you don't stay in line, if you don't toe the line. So, but in most cases, the black foremans took care of, handled all of that as far as the slaves were concerned. So, and we have those now. We have these black people, we have these black people in government. We have these black people in politics. We have these black people that in entertainment that, that come out, and they tell us whatever narrative they have been given to tell us by, the higher ups, to keep us in line, to keep us towing the line, to keep us in our place. Be quiet, don't talk too much, don't raise too much hell, don't kick too much against the pricks. You know what I'm saying? Just, go along with the program. Everything is going to be all right. Massa is going to take care of everything. Everything is going to work out, but you just got to stay calm, and you just got to do what you're being told, and you just got to keep on going the way you've been going, and everything will be all right. That's what they're being sent out to tell us. And it's just not working anymore. Because we've heard it so many times. We've heard it so many times. We've been lied to so many times. We've been promised so much, and so many promises have been broken. We are the most loyal and forgiving group of people. We forgive liars. We forgive traitors. We forgive our enemies. We forgive these folks over and over and over and over again, and keep on giving them a pass and keep on giving them a chance. And they just keep on with the same old mess. Why? Well, because they think, okay, well, they might get a little upset. Let them be upset for a day or two. Let them be upset for a week or two. Let them go burn up some stuff. Let them go riot. Let them go march and protest for a little while. And once they get it all out of their system, they'll be all right and they'll calm down. Why? We have become predictable because that's what we've always done. That's what we've always done. And then once we get it out of our system, we go right back to business as usual. Right back to business as usual. Right back to believing the same lies, right back to giving the same people a pass, right back to believing that the same political party or the same group of people or whatever is going to have our back, or they're going to look after us, or maybe if they didn't do it in the last election, they'll do it in the next election or whatever. But no more of that. No more of that being so forgiving and being so willing to give you a pass and being so willing to give you another opportunity to lie to us and another opportunity to hurt us when we see after 500 years, we're still pretty much in the same place dealing with the same bull that we always have. Black men are still being hunted down and killed unarmed in the street. You know what I'm saying? It's still mass incarceration. Where it's just easier to just throw them in prison. Whereas their white counterparts that are convicted or accused of the same crimes get less time. Sometimes they don't get any time at all. They get sent to rehab. They get little pats on, little slap on the wrist or whatever. But just throw us, just grab all of us up and just sling us in prison. Where you can make money off of us, make money off the free labor. So it's the slave system. You get all of those men working. You get all that free labor, and they're getting absolutely nothing out of it. But three hots and a cot. So, as soon as something happens, it's the big bad black man, the overly aggressive, overly sexual, violent black man. You understand what I'm saying? Just throw him away and lock the key. Just throw him away and lock him up, throw away the key. You know what I'm saying? If you don't kill him first, if you don't just go ahead on and kill him in the street, if he makes it to court, just go ahead on and lock him up and throw away the key. But we're gonna feel sorry for these white folks to do it. If they happen to make it to court, where they got it's an emotional problem. And they need to go to rehab. They need to go to a psychiatric place to have some help, because it's something wrong. And it's just time out for it. We've seen it enough. Time out. It's a rerun that we are tired of seeing. We're tired of seeing it. We're tired of looking at it, and it's not working anymore. It's not working anymore. And the bought and paid for black folk, the black faces of white supremacy that you are sending out now to try to keep us under control, to try to fool us, to try to play the mind games with us, and to try to keep us in line, they're not working anymore. They're not effective anymore, because we've seen too much of it. And it's just and we're tired. We're tired. So what I want to do before I cut this first video short, what I want to do is, we talk a lot about white supremacy. And I think everybody knows what racism is. Racism is the deliberate discrimination against a group of people based on their race. The deliberate discrimination and acts, wrongful acts and injustices that are done towards a specific race of people because of their race. That's the only reason why. There's no other reason. There's no other reason that discrimination comes. There's no other reason that hatred comes. There's no other reason those injustices come. There's no other reason why those bad acts come except for their race. That's what racism is. White supremacy, which racism is born out of white supremacy. White supremacy is an ideology, which means it's a concept, it's an idea. It's a way of thinking that people turn into a way of living, a way of life. But it's actually a concept, a way of thinking. And that way of thinking is that some white people think that simply because they are white, they are superior to other races, especially the black race, which causes them to believe that they dominate society. That's what white supremacy is. It basically is exactly what it says it is. It's white people feeling like they're supreme, feeling like they're superior to everybody else, especially black people. And because of that, they dominate society. And they dominate society by any means necessary. They don't just dominate society because society just sits back and lets them dominate. No, they dominate by any means necessary, which means they will do whatever they have to do to dominate society because they feel like they are superior, especially to black folk. So that's the definition of white supremacy. Now, do all white people subscribe to white supremacy? No. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even begin to say that. I wouldn't even begin to say that. However, most of them have never really even thought about it. Most of them have never even really given it a whole lot of thought, and that's just as dangerous. So, even if they don't willingly or don't knowingly or intentionally subscribe to it, just the fact that a lot of them don't really even know what it is or really even think about it is, like I said, it's just as dangerous. But more than black people, because we're automatically suspicious of white folk. Let's be real. We're automatically suspicious of white folk. And if we're not, something is wrong. If you're a black person and you're not automatically suspicious of white folk, something is wrong. Because your history in America dictates that you be suspicious or you be suspect to a certain extent. Now, that extent will probably be based on your experiences, will probably be based on your life, will probably be based on, how much interaction you've had with white folk, how much access you've had to white folks, or whatever the case may be. But we know we know that that's the enemy. And he's not the enemy because we made him the enemy. He's the enemy because he made himself our enemy. He let it be known that he was our enemy. And that his purpose is to destroy us. His purpose is to use us and take advantage of us and use our labor and use whatever else resources that we have until we have been sucked dry, and then we're just thrown to the side. So, he has made himself our enemy. We didn't make anybody the enemy. So we know that's the enemy. But the enemy that we have really, really, really got to watch for and really be careful for is the white supremacists, the white supremacist with the black face. One of our own. That comes from black America, that comes out of black society. That's who we got to watch out for. That's the enemy that's even more deadly than the other enemy. Because the other enemy, 9 times out of 10, is going to send that enemy with the black face to confront us and to talk to us and to try to negotiate with us. So it's that one with the black face that we have to be careful of. It's the one with the black face that we have to really, really listen to. And really, really distinguish whether or not they're serious and whether or not they're coming from a real place and whether or not they're coming from a place where they're really concerned about what's going on with black people and what's going on in the black community. So that's the one we're really going to have to be careful of. Because those are the ones who have caused us to sleep. Those are the ones who have caused us to lay down and play dead. Those are the ones who have caused us to roll over. Those are the ones who have caused us to keep forgiving and giving passes. Those are the ones who have spoken to us with the right words and said what we needed to hear or what we wanted to hear to keep us in line. And that's the reason why we're so far behind now. Because for years we've listened to them. For years we've given them a pass. For years, we've trusted them. For years, we've been like, okay, well, if so-and-so said it's going to be this kind of way and that kind of way, okay, well, and yeah, I know they said it the last time, but, let's just give them another chance. No. Those are the ones who have fooled us on behalf of their white handlers and their white supremacy leaders. Those are the ones who have come to us, because very seldom do the white supremacists come to us and talk to us about anything. Very seldom do they come to us to negotiate with us about anything. They send folk that look like us to come to us, to fool us, to deceive us, to lie to us, and to get us back into a place of complacency. And to get us back into, a place where, okay, we towing the line. Okay, let's just try this one more time. And then that time becomes one more time again. And then that time becomes one more time again. Well, this time it's not going to be that way. This time it's not going to be that way. This time, not only are we holding the white supremacists and the racists accountable, excuse me, for their actions and their deeds. But now we're going to also hold these black folk who are the black faces of white supremacy. We're going to hold them accountable. We're going to hold them accountable for what they come to us and say. We're going to hold them accountable for what they do. We're going to hold them accountable for how they represent us in the media. We're going to hold them accountable. And if they caught slipping or if they caught lacking, we're going to counsel them. We're going to counsel them. They got to go. We're going to cut them off. They got to go. No more passes. No more forgiving. No more just letting it slide. No more just letting it slip by. No, 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 no. I'm all for reparations. I'm all for reparations. I'm all for it. Everybody else got them. I'm all for it. I'm all for reparations. I'm all for it. That's all I got to say. I'm all for reparations. And I'm not talking about reparations where you give a little something, something to everybody and eventually it gets around to black people. No, 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 no. I'm talking about reparations where you specifically do something specific for black folk and nobody but black folk, because you've done it for others. You've done it for other groups. And those of you who want to challenge me, Google is out there. Go out there and Google reparations for the Mexicans, for Mexico. Reparations for the Asians after they dropped the atomic bomb. Reparations for the Jews. You go out there and you will see. And those groups didn't get reparations because the United States government just wanted to give it to them. No. They got reparations because it was something that they went and got. They took it. They demanded it. They wouldn't move unless they got it. See, we've been running around asking for stuff and asking people to do this for us and asking folks to do that for us and all of that, asking for what really belonged to us. But now we just got to go get our stuff. It's just that simple. We just got to go get our stuff. It's owed to us. We have to go get our stuff. And how do we get it? By keeping what we got, keeping what already belongs to us. Our votes, our support, our endorsements. Keeping those things to ourselves and stop just handing them out to particular political parties just because we've been loyal to those parties for the last 50, 60 years. Just because our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents were loyal to those groups or to those political parties, we're just being loyal just to be loyal. And they have done absolutely nothing for us. So it's time for us to sit on what we got. It's time for us to sit on what we got that they want. And make them go. And if they can go get it from somewhere else, okay, well then you go get it from somewhere else. But you're not going to get it from here until you do what you say you're going to do. Until you do what we tell you we want. So yes, I'm for reparations 100%. 100%. So, now we're going to talk about the elders. Let's talk about the elders a little bit. Because we don't have any real black leaders out there in the public's eye. We don't have anybody. It's the bottom line. We don't have anybody. We haven't had anybody for years. We probably haven't had anybody since Malcolm died. Or since MLK died. We haven't had anybody. That's just the bottom line of it. And I don't want to be disrespectful to our elders and to our ancestors, because there is so much for us to learn from them. However, we have to be careful, especially of the elders who are still here and who still hold political office, excuse me, or are still a part of mainstream media. We have to be careful of them, because we have two kinds of elders. We have one elder that has done the work. It may not have been the work that we thought needed to be done. It may not be the way we will do it now, but they did what they knew to do then. Whether it was marching, whether it was protesting, whatever it was. They did what they knew to do then. And they've done the work. They've gone through the process. And I think some of them are just tired. I think some of them are just absolutely tired. Because after all that was done, all that was said, all the lives that were lost, all the blood that was shed, they are sitting back now and they're seeing that nothing really changed. The cover-up face of things may have changed. As I said before, the dynamics may have changed. The packaging to some of this stuff may have changed. But when you break it all down and pull it all apart, nothing has really changed. And they see that, and I think some of them are just tired. They're just tired. They're tired. Because the struggle actually wore them out. And now they just want peace. They just want to be left alone. They don't want to struggle anymore. They don't want to fight anymore. They don't want to try to figure out anything anymore. They just want peace. Then you have the other type of elder. And that's the elder who sold out. That's the elder who decided me and mine and me getting what I'm going to get and me looking out for me and me looking out for my household is more important than me looking out for my community. It's more important than me looking out for my black brothers and sisters. So I'm going to go ahead on. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to become a part of this agenda. I'm going to become a part of what the white supremacists got going on over here. You understand what I'm saying? And I'll let them, and I'll allow them to use me as a patsy to go back, you know what I'm saying, and try to, keep the black folk in line and keep the black folks voting a certain kind of way and keep the black folks doing, doing what they need to be doing and what, and what white society wants them to do. And I'm just going, and I'm just going to look after me. And if that means every once in a while I got to throw a black brother or a black sister under the bus, if that means every once in a while I got to betray the black people of America so that I can keep my position and I can keep my place and I can keep looking after me, then that's what I'm going to do. That's the coon. That's the sellout. So you got two types of elders. You got the elder that's just worked and they tired. And then you got the one who was a sellout to start with. They sold out. Instead of trying to be a part of the solution, they willingly became a part of the problem. So we have to watch our elders. Yes, still respect them. But just because you respect them don't mean you have to listen to them. And if they coming at you with this same old talk, this same old game, just cooperate, just go along with the program. Just like James Claiborne just came out talking about, no, he's sick of this issue of reparations. There will be no talk of reparations and all of that. Okay, see? That's what I'm talking about. A sellout. The white folks didn't say no. They sent him to tell us no. The white folks didn't say no, it wasn't going to happen. Nancy Pelosi actually said that she was willing to study the issue of reparations. Right. But she didn't say no. She sent a black man out to look at us and tell us, no, it's not going to happen. No, we're not going to let that happen. It's not going down that way. And why did he do it? Don't know. We don't know which elder he is. We don't know whether he's the elder that's tired because he's been fighting for years and he still sees no change and he just wants to be in peace, or whether he's the elder that was a sellout all the time. But either way, he is the black face of white supremacy. Either way, he is the black face of the white agenda. Makes no difference what his reasoning is. Either way, that's what he is. And he's not alone. Al Sharpton, so many of them have been the black face of the white agenda. And they are only brought out and paraded in front of us when they are needed to either bring us in line or to get our support for something, or to get us to vote a certain kind of way, or to get us to go along with, or to distract us from something else that's going on. That's the only time they're brought out and paraded in front of us. So we have to be very, very careful who we're listening to. And we have to pay very, very close attention to what they're saying. Because if they're trying to say a whole lot of nothing with a whole lot of big words, then they ain't saying nothing. Either you for it or you against it. It don't take a whole lot of big words, and it don't take a whole lot of shuffling around and a whole lot of, jucking and jiving. It don't take a whole lot to say whether you support something or you don't. So when they get to going into all that political jargon and trying to do all this talking and trying to explain the reasons why this ain't gonna work, and the reason why that ain't gonna work, and the reason why we can't do this, and the reason why we can't do that, and all of that kind of stuff, just squash that. Squash that. If it could work for everybody else, it can work for us. If you could get it done for everybody else, you can get it done for us. So understand that. So that's my thoughts as far as the elders are concerned. Now later on in later videos, we'll get into some specifics. We'll get into some specific things that were said, some specific things that were done. We'll get into all of that. But right now, this is just a general introduction to what this channel is going to be about, and how I feel about certain things. Now, in my last few minutes, people, do not pay attention to Oprah. I counseled Oprah in the early 90s, before there was ever a cancer culture. I counseled her. I counseled her when she went from having serious shows about serious issues that concerned women, children, and in a lot of cases, black people, to only interviewing celebrities and only interviewing people in Hollywood. And then she started flipping and flopping back and forth as far as religion is concerned. And then the next thing you know, she involved with Scientology and all that kind. I counseled her because I saw her for what she was, a sellout. Bottom line, a sellout. This is what I want to tell you about Oprah. Because we'll get into, the R. Kelly thing, the Michael Jackson thing, the Bill Cosby thing. We'll get into all of that. But this is the main thing that I want to tell you about Oprah. Don't be fooled by her appearance. Don't be fooled by how much money they tell you Oprah got. Don't be fooled by how much power they tell you she got in Hollywood. Don't be fooled by that. Oprah has no control. She has no power. When Oprah is just like all the rest of them. She's just like all the rest of them that have allowed themselves to be used as the face of white supremacy and as the face of the white agenda in America. She's just like the rest of them. They go where they're sent, when they're sent. And they say what they're told to say. So, if anybody thinks that Oprah's part in this whole Leaving Neverland documentary or mockumentary or whatever you want to call that mess if anybody thinks that Oprah's part in that was strictly her own idea, no, 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 no. Oprah was under the radar. Nobody was hearing from Oprah. Oprah didn't have much to say. The only news we'd had on Oprah in a while was that all of a sudden her stock had plummeted in Weight Watchers, and she had lost maybe what, 40, $50 million or something like that with her stock. And then boom, all of a sudden, here comes Oprah. Don't think for 1 minute that was a decision that she made solely on her own. It was something that she was told to do. So don't think that because people go all out with this, Oprah is worth $3 billion or $2 billion or whatever, and don't think for 1 minute that Oprah has any control. Oprah has no control. Oprah has handlers, and there are folks that she has got to listen to and folks that she has got to obey, just like all the rest of them. In Hollywood, in the media, in politics, and all of that. She has somebody that her bread is being buttered just like all the rest of them. And Oprah knew that if she didn't do what she was told to do, and if she didn't do it the way she was told to do it, that her bread would no longer be buttered. And that the same way you saw Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, and other black men being crucified and smeared, she knew she would be subject to the exact same thing if she didn't do what she was told to do. Gail, same thing for Gail. Same thing for Gail. That's the reason why she was sent. She was specifically picked and sent to interview R. Kelly. Were they willing? Of course they were willing. They don't want to lose what they have. They don't want to lose what little bit of clout, and they don't want to lose the money, and they don't want to lose what they have. They didn't want to become the next sacrifice. So rather than them become the next sacrifice, they had to sacrifice somebody black. They had to be willing to attack somebody black. They had to be willing to smear and just rip apart some black man. Is it disgusting? Of course it's disgusting. But they've been in it for so long. They've been a part of it for so long. They've been wrapped up in it for so long. And they don't want to lose what they have. Because those folks don't play fair. Those folks don't just take what you have. They totally rip you apart. They totally destroy you. They didn't just take what Bill Cosby had. They destroyed him. Not just his legacy, but the man. And brought him down to being blind and in prison as old as he is. And for what? Why is he in prison? Why is he there? For having sex with grown women. For having sex with women who willingly met him in hotel rooms, knowing that he was a married man. Why is he in prison? For touching a woman's breast. And he paid her $3 million. And she made the joke that he could have touched the other one. So, I mean, why is Bill Cosby in prison? Why is his whole legacy destroyed? Behind an issue that was between him and his wife. Not him and the media, not him and the court system, but him and his wife. It was between him and his wife if he was sweeping around with other women while he was married. If he was hanging out at the Playboy Mansion with Hugh and all the rest of them at the time when everybody was hanging out. That was the thing to do. That was the place to be in the 70s and the 80s. And everybody knew what was going on at the Playboy Mansion. Everybody knew about the sex. Everybody knew about the drugs. Everybody knew what was going on. And if there was an underage girl at the Playboy Mansion for anybody to be having sex with, the question becomes, where were her parents? Where was her mother? Where was her father? Where were her parents? But Hugh Hefner has never been under the microscope like that. Everybody thought Hugh was the cutest thing in the world, walking around with his pajamas on all day. Everybody wanted to know Hugh. Everybody wanted to go hang out at the Playboy Mansion. Where are the accusations against him? Now they say Bill Cosby had sex with an underage girl at the Playboy Mansion. Okay, well then, did nobody ever question why Hugh had an underage girl at the mansion? No, because Hugh is white. He's in the protected class. He's a white male. It's fine for him to have underage girls, boys, or anything else at the Playboy Mansion if that's what he wanted. It does not become a problem. It does not become an issue. And it certainly does not become a crime until you throw a black man in it. And that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it becomes a crime. That's when it becomes something that everybody needs to look into and everybody needs to know about. So be very, very careful of Oprah. Those of you who still follow her, those of you who still listen to her, those of you who have not counseled her, those of you who have not seen her for the snake that she is, her and Gail, and so many others, just keep your eyes open and be very, very careful. And know that Oprah was willing to sacrifice Michael to protect Oprah. Oprah was not interested. Oprah didn't do all of that, and she was not interested because she cares so much about sexual abuse victims, or because she cares so much about victims of molestation and child rape and rape victims and all of that. Okay, if she was so concerned about rape victims and so concerned about women and women's rights and women that have been victimized and all that, where's the Harvey Weinstein documentary? Where's the Epstein documentary? Where's anybody ever questioning Woody Allen raising a child and then marrying the child while she was still a child? You know, where's the documentary on Elvis Presley, who started dating Priscilla, well, her name was Priscilla Bouvier then, when she was 14 years old and he was 24? And white America knew about it, paraded it, celebrated it. They were on TV together. They took all kind of pictures together, the whole 9 yards throughout the whole relationship. Now, by the time he married her, she was over the age of 20. But when he first met her and started dating her, she was 14 years old. What about Jerry Lee Lewis? Icon. Rock and roll icon. Where's the documentary on the fact that he married his 13-year-old cousin? An Open Secret, the documentary that Corey Feldman was a part of. You understand what I'm saying? Why are none of those victims being interviewed? Why are none of those victims being talked to? If you're so concerned, you're such an advocate for victims. You're so concerned about victims. You're such an advocate for victims of rape and sexual abuse. Okay, what's going on at your school? At your school in Africa, when it's been reported that these girls were being raped by members of the staff. Are you going to interview any of those girls? Bryan Singer, Kevin Spacey. Have you decided that you're going to do documentaries and interview any of those victims? What about all the victims of Harvey Weinstein? Are you ready to sit down and do interviews with them? No. Oprah didn't do what she did because she was concerned about victims. Oprah didn't do what she did because she was concerned about abuse, sexual abuse, molestation, pedophilia, none of that. Oprah did what she did to protect Oprah. Oprah did what she did to benefit Oprah. Oprah did what she did because she had a set of instructions. She had orders, and she had to follow those orders. And those orders were, you got to distract. You got to distract them from what's going on with Harvey. You got to distract them from what's going on with Kevin Spacey. You got to distract them. And we got to go and we got to dig up this dead man who has already faced all of these allegations, who has already been investigated by 2 police departments, already been investigated by the FBI for over 10 years, already been to court in the first case with Jordy Chandler. When they took it to the grand jury refused to indict him. That's the first time. They refused to indict him based on what little evidence was presented to them. They refused to indict the man. Okay, well, they finally got an indictment in 2005 and finally got him in court. 14 charges, 10 felony charges, 4 misdemeanor, lesser count charges. He was found guilty of all. He was found not guilty of all of them. All of them, even the lesser charges, he was found not guilty. So this is a man that already been through the process, has already faced his accusers. They already had an opportunity to convict him, lock him up, throw him in prison, label him as a pedophile, prove that he was a pedophile, prove that he had they couldn't even prove that he had touched a child. But now, 10 years after this man's death, 14 years after he has been found not guilty, you want to drag up the dead man. The same week that your buddy Harvey is scheduled to be in court. The same week that Kevin Spacey is scheduled to be in court. Come on now. Let's be real. Let's be real. You didn't do that because you were concerned about anybody but Oprah. Oprah had been given a set of instructions, and Oprah knew she had to follow those instructions. Just like Gail had been given a set of instructions that she was the one to go interview R. Kelly and break R. Kelly down. And show the world the criminal that R. Kelly is. And show the world how awful and ugly and mean and animalistic R. Kelly is. That was her job. That was what she was sent to do. That's the reason why the Neverland mockumentary, whatever they want to call it, was so graphic. That's the reason why it was so graphic and so detailed and so nasty. Now, I didn't watch it. But everybody that I've heard talk about it, they talk about how sickening it was and how dirty they felt. Some folks said it was so bad that they couldn't even finish watching it. It was just so graphic in detail. See, that's the reason why it had to be that. It had to be all of that because it had to make Michael look a certain kind of way in front of the public. Because it's about crushing him now. It's about ripping apart his legacy, everything. And you're going to tell me that's not a lynching? It's an economic lynching. Because if you wipe out his royalties, stop his music from being played, the whole 9 yards, how is his family going to take care of themselves? How are his children going to take care of themselves? But see, it doesn't matter. The collateral damage doesn't matter to these people. You know, they run around here with R. Kelly like, whoa, that's the only person in the world. Okay, come on now, like I said. And I'm not here to defend R. Kelly. I'm not here to defend anything that anybody did that was wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, but this is the thing. when white police officers kill innocent black men and unarmed black men on the street, and they go through the criminal process, and they go through the process, the judicial process, we're told, okay, well, they done been through the process. You know, you just have to accept it. You just have to deal with it because they went through the process. Okay. Why don't that same thing apply to black men? Let them go through the process. Stop trying to destroy them before they're even, in some cases, before they're even charged with anything. Bill Cosby, before he was ever even charged with anything, they had already ripped this man to pieces. They had already ripped him to shreds before he was ever charged with the first crime. Michael Jackson has been charged, done went through the whole process and been found guilty. Now you want to dig him up and rip him apart again? R. Kelly has been through this process once before. R. Kelly has been to court and they found him not guilty. So if the system works when the white folks get off for doing stuff they ain't got no business doing, murdering folk, killing little children, murdering unarmed men, blowing folk brains out in cars, and they unarmed and ain't done nothing. Okay, if the system worked in that situation, then why didn't the system work in this situation? Why are you trying to retry Michael Jackson in the court of public opinion? Why are you trying to retry R. Kelly in the court of public opinion? Why was Bill Cosby tried, found guilty, and lynched in the court of public opinion, in the media? Let these men go through the process. If they've already been through the process and the process has spoken, why are you trying to re-speak it? Why are you trying to change history? Why are you trying to turn it around into something else? You ain't doing that for white folk. Half the white folks that are charged don't even make it to court. And if they do, it's a slap on the wrist. You send them on and don't nobody hear nothing else about it. All last week, everybody was so busy talking about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly until Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey went under the radar. There were no reports on the, very few reports on the news. It wasn't no breaking news. It wasn't something that, CNN talked about it, then MSNBC, and then ABC, and then Fox, and then just over and over and over again. Well, Kevin Spacey this, and Kevin Spacey went to court, and Harvey. No. It was tucked in a little corner somewhere. While R. Kelly and Michael Jackson were plastered all over everywhere. Like they the only folks doing this. If they doing it. Like they were the only folks that have ever been accused of doing this. But the white folks that are accused of doing it, and it's proven that they have done it, ain't nobody talking about that. Ain't nobody interviewing nobody in them cases. The media ain't got their pictures splashed all around everywhere. People ain't doing YouTube videos on them. Why? Because they ain't black. You got to take the black man. And you got to continue to make the black man look like he is the lowest, most aggressive, most dangerous, most animalistic, most deviant, most perverted human being on the face of this earth. That's how you got to make him look. You got to make that black man look like there's nothing he won't do. Because you got to keep society scared of him. You got to keep society leery of him. You got to keep society looking over their shoulder at him. You got to keep society ready to pull the trigger on him at any minute. You got to keep society ready to pick up the phone and call the police on him just when he show up. Just when he show up, you picking up the phone, calling the police on him. He ain't said nothing. He ain't done nothing. He ain't made but 2 or 3 moves. All he did was walk in the room, and you already on the phone punching the button to call the police. Why? Simply because he's a black man. And that's the kind of mess that Oprah and Gayle participated in. They participated in that. Because this is my thing. Okay, if they're guilty, they're guilty. But it looked like everybody guilty to me. So why this ain't across the board? Why is it so uneven? Why is it so unfair? Why is this not across the board? Why is this not being done for everybody? I heard the Black Authority talking about this today. He was talking about how the OJ thing was wall to wall. I mean, we had to see the whole so-called high-speed chase. Now, we seen it all. The whole high-speed chase. From the time the man got in the car to the time they finally got him out of the car, we seen the whole thing. They ain't let us miss nothing. Nothing. Every day they was in the courtroom with Michael Jackson. Every day they was in the courtroom. Media everywhere. Every day we see a mug shot of R. Kelly. Every day we see a mug shot of R. Kelly. Every day we see a picture of R. Kelly in the mainstream media every day. Every day. We ain't seen Harvey's picture. We ain't seen Kevin's picture. We ain't heard no news reports. Ain't nobody told. You got to go dig to find out that they pushed Harvey's first case back to April. Then they pushed the other case back to sometime in June. And Kevin Spacey, he was just in the pretrial thing. They was just, doing a little bit of discovery, and the judge kind of, listening to some motions and deciding which motions he was going to listen to and that type of thing. But you ain't seen that. No, you ain't seen it nowhere. And wait a minute. What about the dude? This was during the time when the Jussie thing had hit. The white dude, the lieutenant that was a part of I think he was a part of the Coast Guard or something. The one that had all of those guns and everything. And he had this list of people in the media and people in politics and everything that he was going to kill. We seen Chandler, so I can't remember his name. I got to go find it, look it up, and I'll bring it back to you. I put it down in the description box. But, I mean, they put his picture up maybe 1 or 2 times with all of them guns and everything that he had. And he had the hit list with the names of the folks in media and politics and entertainment and all of that he was going to kill. We ain't heard nothing else about him. A homegrown terrorist. If that had been somebody from Islam or somebody from the Middle East or some black guy that had one gun and he was running around in the neighborhood, that's all you would have heard about. It would have been everywhere. This was a white homegrown terrorist. He was a white supremacist. You ain't heard nothing else about him. I went on the internet looking for him today. They had one story about him on the 11th. They had one story about him that was 2 days old. Before that, the last story they had on him was February the 27th. Now, who are you going to be more afraid of? A white supremacist, homegrown terrorist running around with all of these high-powered weapons and guns. He's a military man, so he knows certain things. He knows how to get certain things done, and he walking around with a hit list. He done already talked about. Sometimes he think about all he want to do is just kill them all. Who you want running around in the street? Him or R. Kelly? Him or Michael Jackson? Him or an 83-year-old blind man named Bill Cosby? Who do you really want running around in the street? But you focusing on, first of all, a dead man who can't molest or hurt nobody now because he's been dead for 10 years. And he can't defend himself. R. Kelly, who ain't never hurt a fly as far as we know, because we got to remember, all of this stuff is still just allegations. It's alleged. None of it has been proven. I don't care what anybody say. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what you think. Ain't none of it been proven yet. Now, we all got our opinion, but the bottom line is it ain't been proven yet. There are still allegations. And then you got an 83-year-old man that's about blind. And you totally destroy these people. But you got this military man with all these high-powered guns and hit lists and all of this walking around, a homegrown terrorist, but the news ain't talking about him. The news ain't telling us to be scared of him. The news ain't telling us whether he had an accomplice out there or whether he was working with a ring or whether it was more than one. Because usually folks like that don't work by themselves. Timothy McVeigh, homegrown terrorist. Them military types that get involved, usually they don't be working by themselves. They usually have 2 or 3 other folk in cahoots with them. So see, we don't know whether this dude had somebody working with him or not to carry out the plan in case, he got caught or in case he changed his mind or whatever. See, but we supposed to be concerned about R. Kelly and a dead man and an 83-year-old man. That's what you got plastered all around everywhere. That's what you throwing up in everybody's face. Why? Because that's the picture that you want to present of black folk, especially black men. That they deviant, they sexually perverted, they sexually aggressive, they nasty, they filthy, they ain't nothing but pedophiles and rapists and sexual assaulters, they thugs and dangerous. You got to watch out for them, like I said, because why? You done taught society that that's who you need to be feared. That's who you need to be afraid of. That's who you need to fear. And because that's who you need to fear, that finger is always on the trigger. If it ain't on a gun trigger, it's on a phone keypad. Like I said, as soon as the black man walk in the room, he ain't said nothing, he ain't done nothing, he ain't made a move. But as soon as the black man walk in the room, Becky ready to call 911. And then when Becky called 911, because it's a black man that walked in the room, when 911 get there, they ain't gonna ask no questions. They just gonna come in with guns drawn and might mess around and shoot the black man and might mess around and kill him, and he ain't done nothing to nobody. He ain't said nothing. He ain't done nothing. But because you done put him out there in front of everybody that he just this deviant. He just this cursing, this scourge on society. He's a menace to society. No. Not when you got the Harvey Weinsteins and the Brian Sellers, singers and and the Ed Bucks. Ed Buck walking around, 3 or 4 dead bodies done been dragged out of his house. 3 or 4 dead bodies done been dragged out of his house. Dead black men. Been dragged out of his house. Ain't been no investigation. Ed Bug still walking around in California doing whatever Ed Bug want to do. And bodies, dead bodies, have been dragged out of his house. At least 2, might be 3. But we supposed to believe Oprah when she say she concerned about victims. That she did this because of victims. That this transcends Michael Jackson. Okay, well, if it transcends Michael Jackson, then why was it about Michael Jackson? If you wanted to do a show on sexual abuse and sexual assault and child molestation, why didn't you just do a show on that? Why did Michael Jackson have to be a part of it in any kind of way? If it transcends Michael Jackson. But like I said, you got the Ed Bucks of the world. You understand what I'm saying? You got whole pedophile rings in Hollywood. Where the thing is just set up. to lure the children and how they're going to transport the children and the whole just rings. Ain't nobody talking about that. Ain't nobody interviewing none of them victims. If you look at Corey Feldman's interviews on the mainstream media, he did an interview with Matt Lauer. He did an interview with Barbara Walters. He's done several interviews. Most of the folk act like they mad at him. Most of the folks coming at him like he lying or like he doing something wrong by outing these people and by letting it be known what's really going on. Barbara Walters had the nerve to say, well, wait, you destroying a whole industry. Go on Google and get the clip. Go on get Google and get the clip of when Barbara Walters interviewed Corey Feldman and hear what she said. She was more concerned about the industry and the industry being destroyed and the industry being hurt than what was happening to children. When they did that document, An Open Secret, they couldn't get no backing. They couldn't get no distribution. They couldn't get nobody to put it out. None of that. Why? Because you messing with the wrong people. You messing with the white man. You messing with the white elite. You messing with that white man to feel like he got a right to do whatever he want to do whenever he get ready to do it to whoever he want to do it to. And it's not a problem until a black man is accused of doing the same thing that the white man has been doing all the time. See, you got to remember, that's what white men do. In ancient Rome, the senators, that's all they did was mess with little boys. That's all they did. The French court and those courts back then when they had the kings and the queens and they call it debauchery. What they meant by debauchery was they would have orgies where they would have sex with anybody and everybody. Girls, boys, men, women, it didn't matter. Them Roman senators all just picked them several little boys and gone about their business. And was nothing said about it. Why do you think the Roman Catholic Church is overrun with it? Where's the documentary on the Roman Catholic Church? These folks been systematically raping and molesting little boys for thousands of years. But ain't nobody doing no documentaries. Ain't nobody talking to no victims. Not of the Catholic Church. And they just had a 3-day summit back here not too long ago to discuss just that issue. Now, we don't know what happened because, again, that's something else that you ain't seen all over the news. Ain't nobody talked about that. That's tucked away in some corner somewhere. But go Google it and you'll see how many millions of dollars the Catholic Church has had to pay out. Because of pedophilia. And a priest going having sexual relationships and having babies out of wedlock and all this with women. But ain't nobody doing no documentaries on that. Ain't nobody talking to none of them victims. When we came here, when we was kidnapped and brought over here, buck breaking, raping black men in front of other plantation owners and in front of other slaves, just raping them to break them and keep them in submission. It was a joke. It was a plaything. And then the black women being raped whenever the white man got ready, he just went in and raped him one. If he wanted babies to keep his plantation going, well, he just go rape him 3 or 4 slaves or whatever, and he got little babies running around everywhere. And if you think for 1 minute that they won't messing with the children too, come on now. That's what white folks do. That's what white men do. They been doing it. It ain't nothing new. Society accepts it. Society goes along with it. Society deals with it. But soon as it's a black man that you say has done these things, oh, it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. Now everybody got to get involved. The police got to get involved. Law enforcement got to get involved. The FBI got to get involved. Homeland Security got to get involved. Everybody got to get involved now. The media has to get involved. Oprah has to get involved. Gail has to get involved. Everybody got to get involved now because you say it's a black man who did it. Come on, people. Let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real. To the point now where they digging up dead folks, y'all. Do you understand? That's how serious it has gotten. They digging up dead folk. They digging up folks that's dead and been dead. It ain't like Michael been dead no 2, 3, 4 years. Michael has been dead almost 10 years. It will be 10 years in June of this year. 10 years. Are they gonna go pull up John Lennon? They say he messed with. They say he raped women and raped women and messed with underage girls. Are they going to pull up? Are they going to dig up? Like I said, Elvis Presley. Priscilla wasn't the only underage girl he was messing with, but we know he was doing her because it was all out there in the public eye. Are they going to dig up? Like I said, Jerry Lee Lewis. For marrying his 13-year-old cousin. Are they gonna pull up them icons? Are they gonna tear down their legacies? Are they gonna rip them apart? Well, if you ain't gonna do it to them, leave Michael alone. If you're not gonna give Harvey Weinstein, the Epstein dude, Woody Allen, Kevin Spacey, Bryan Singer, who the other one is a Moon somebody and Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose, and if you ain't gonna give them as much press as you giving R. Kelly, leave R. Kelly alone. If you're not gonna splatter their faces all over the news and all over the TVs and all over the news networks every day and every hour on the hour, then leave R. Kelly alone. If you're not gonna go get Roman Polanski wherever he is now, because you know he left the country to keep from facing persecution for all the mess he was doing. If you're not gonna go get him, because he about Bill Cosby age now, if not older. If you're not gonna go find him and bring him back here to stand trial for his crimes, then you ain't had no business messing with Bill. If you ain't gonna go up there in the White House and get your president, who was accused of sexual assault before he ever became the president, and you still elected him president, if you're not gonna go get him and make him answer for what he has done, then you leave all the rest of these folks alone. It's got to be even. It's got to be even. It can't be no more of this. It can't be no more of, okay, if you have crack cocaine, you get all this time. But if you have powder cocaine, you get less time. Why? Because very few white people deal with crack cocaine. Most of them deal with powder cocaine. Crack cocaine was a black folks thing. Why? Because that's where they put it. They put it in the black community. That's where the government put it, in the black community. That's the reason why the sentencing is so uneven. Every drug dealer you see on the street, if he black, lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. But we don't hear nothing about all these meth dealers. You get a man cooked on crack, and he doing all kind of crazy stuff because he addicted to crack, you gonna throw him in prison. You're not gonna see nothing about he need to go to rehab and he got a problem and he needs some psychiatric help and all of that. But then white folks hooked on all them designer drugs and doing all kinds of mess and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, they all messed up. They got problems. We got to send them to rehab. We got to do an intervention for them. We got to help them because they got problems. We got to put them in a program. But you ain't locking them up. Ain't no mass incarceration going on over there. And they doing just as much, if not more. Time out for the bullshit. That's the only thing. Just time out for it. See it for what it really is. Folk getting mad because R. Kelly had folks that was willing to come and post his bail. Had folks that was willing to come and pay his whole child support, the whole back child support so he could get out of jail. Why you mad? And why you think we supposed to be upset about that? Wasn't nobody mad. I didn't see y'all getting upset when they were setting up GoFundMe accounts for all these police officers and everything that have been accused of killing innocent black men. And they sitting on $500,000 and $600,000 and all of that. When they set up that account for George Zimmerman after he killed Trayvon Martin, murdered Trayvon Martin. And he was sitting on, I think it was close to $1 million? Didn't nobody get upset about that? Ain't nobody getting upset about, like I said, all these GoFundMes, y'all sitting up for all of these murderers that are hiding behind badges. Because that's all they are, murderers. So the police department suspends them without pay. They ain't got to worry about it. They just set up a GoFundMe and they good. They can pay their attorney fees. They can keep taking care of their families. And George Zimmerman still walking around. But we supposed to be worried about R. Kelly and a dead man and an 83-year-old man in prison. And George Zimmerman, who just shot down somebody's child, just for the hell of it, is still walking around? Get it together, folks. Get it together. Realize what's going on. Realize what's going on. Realize it's a campaign. It's been a campaign. This ain't just started. It's been going on. Tiger Woods was ripped. Tiger Woods, with everything he had, was taken away from him. Why? Because he had the nerve to cheat on his white wife. He had the nerve to cheat on his white wife with other white women. I think it was one that was mixed in there somewhere. Again, that was an issue between husband and wife. The media ain't had nothing to do with it. The news outlets ain't had nothing to do with it. That was an issue between husband and wife. But Tiger Woods became the poster boy for being a cheater. Come on now. And we had a president that had to go through impeachment procedures for cheating. Come on, let's be real. Jordan Woods found out the hard way. I'm glad she found out, though, being as young as she is, only being 21. Jordan Woods found out the hard way. They can tell you they love you. They can invite you in their family. They can call you their best friend. They can call you little sister or whatever the case may be. But the first time they feel like you have crossed them, you see what happened. They ripped that child apart in the media. In the media. Ain't Big Mo know what happened than a man in the moon. She wasn't married to nobody, and Tristan wasn't married to nobody. They were two single individuals. So even if they had a hooked up, yeah, it might have would have been wrong on a moral level. But it wasn't everybody's business. And it certainly wasn't nothing for mainstream media to become a part of. Not with everything else we got going on in the world. But that went on for days. Just ripping into that child. She had to be all kinds of sluts. She had to be all kinds of whores. She had to be all kinds of home wreckers. She had to be all kinds of this and all kinds of that and all of that behind something that wasn't even real. Because Chloe and Tristan wasn't even together no more. And he had made it clear to Chloe and everybody else that he didn't want her. And remember how Chloe got him. Chloe got him taking him away from somebody else. Every man she done had, she got taken away from one of her friends. But again, as long as she was doing it, it was all right. Why? Because she's a part of white society. So as long as she was doing it, it was okay. But as soon as this young black heifer had the nerve to think that she was going to step up and do the same thing, oh, no. That's a problem. We got to deal with her. We got to let her know. We got to put her in her place. Y'all don't see it? If you don't see it, it's not because you're blind. If you don't see it, it's because you don't want to see it. Because it's obvious. It's absolutely obvious. And then we had black folk, we had the nerve to have black folks out there say they defending Chloe. And every man she done had since Lamar. Every man she done, French, James Harden, Tristan, every man she done had, she got from a friend. A friend dated him first. Her and her sister even dated the same man. The Game. The rapper Game. But as soon as a little black girl had the audacity to think that she was going to do it to a white woman, oh, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. Think about that. That's all I want you to do. All I want you to do is think about it. And anything that I've said tonight, if it don't ring true to you, you ain't got to take my word for it. All you got to do is Google it. Google it. Google it, and you will see it's all true. This has been Undiluted TV. And y'all be blessed. And y'all stay in the know until the next time. Good night.